This is Trekland HQ, and we are live. Hey, 2022 was just a beta test, Star Trek. Yeah, today on episode 296 of Trekland Tuesdays Live. With me, Dr. Trek, Larry Nemechek, coming at you from the heart of Trekland through Portal 47 for some clarity, sanity, and the big picture in all things Star Trek. And hello, Tuesday. Welcome back. Glad to see everybody there. Hey, and thank you, all of you. It's great to see all of those virtual TrekCon folks. Oh, wait, that was the weekend. This feels like this should be yet another. I've spent so much time on camera in the last few days, as have many other folk. But this just was a pile-on the last couple of weeks. And that's where I'm coming from with the topic today. Hey, everybody, it's great to see you. If you are new, especially if you just found me in something over the weekend at Gallifrey Convention Live somehow, or yes, over Virtual TrekCon, or anything we've been putting out in the last few days, welcome to Trekland Tuesdays Live. This is the great public meeting place for everything Trekland before you trickle off into Portal 47 or Trekland, or just enjoying the Trekophiles. The Trek Files as a Trekophile, spelled with an F. Whatever you're doing, welcome to Tuesday. If you're new to us here, please introduce yourself, say where you're coming from, give us a weather report. We've got a great TTL community here. You'll see that in a minute. And I'm here. I'm going to talk on a topic today. Sometimes it's a laser focus. Sometimes it's a little more general. Hopefully it's not the same old you hear everywhere else on the web. I saved that for second opinion. Actually, no, I don't. But we're glad you're here. The chat is awesome. Everybody's in the chat is great. I'm going to talk for a few minutes. Then I will take a very short micro break. I'll come right back with the Parrot Analytics TV rankings, such as they are, that we can see. And then I'm going to dive headlong into the chat. So I don't mix it up in the chat till then, but feel free to ask a question or wait till then, whatever. But please jump in and enjoy it, meet up with everybody you can here. It's a great group. And that said, I'm going back. Over the weekend, we did YouTube only as an experiment to drive numbers to YouTube. And we're going to do that eventually soon. But we're back today where everyone is on the three channels we use. Just know that if you're on YouTube and Twitch, you are seeing everybody's comments. If you're on Facebook, you're only seeing Facebook comments, okay? And if you're watching me later and not live, you're going to see whatever YouTube shows you. Hey, listen, this occurred to me. I've been struggling to corral a single topic because this is one of those weeks when it feels like so much is happening. Of course, the lead story this week is finally, after months of hearing everybody happy talk about it, you finally got to see, and the world got to see, what the fuss about Picard episode 1 was, season 3, episode 1. An episode with the chapter name of part 1, The Next Generation. Are you confused yet? Are you just seeing the years pass before your eyes? Excuse me. Yes, indeed, that's the idea. No, I think I did a snap poll a week ago, right? And based on the buzz alone, and on top of that, not just the reviewers, but by then, the preview audience, a lot of the fans who were at the preview in LA, and even the charity preview event in New York, the buzz coming out. And a lot of people totally on board, about 3/4 on board, about a fourth watching, but just saying, oh, okay, it can't be that great. But obviously going to watch, and only about 1 or 2% either saying, oh, no, I've been burned or whatever. That was last week's TTL. So what's the verdict since then? Now, it's been interesting to watch online reactions all over the place. People enjoying the nostalgia, people rejecting the nostalgia, people saying nostalgia has nothing to do with it. People saying, I can already tell this is different than the first two. People saying, this feels exactly like the first two. It's still dark. I don't know if I think the ship nerds, all the tech heads, have totally been back in love with the traditional depiction of ships and motion and no lens flares and the blurs and everything being sharp and in focus. So you can see those beauty details on every square micromillimeter of every hull. They're rejoicing. I know that. And they're rejoicing over the art direction, the visual. It's like what you got out of season 2's Stargazer and beyond, and all the in-jokes on all the graphics of the future and the alternate future and the evil alternate future and the alternate evil, whatever. It's been multiplied on top of that. So that has taken center stage, and it is, and we can talk about that too, but you're going to get that all over the internet and the interwebs, and I talked about it on my second opinion. Please like and subscribe if you didn't see that over the weekend. Again, taking a meta view of the episode and what people were saying about it. No, I'm talking about just the cumulative effect. And as much as the premiere was, boy, a bombshell that was a happy bombshell. And then finally, oh yeah, the episode itself, I don't know how much of my audience here today, how many of you all you've talked with or chatted online with your friends, your circles of friends. What an insane success Virtual TrekCon 4 was. This is the 4th edition. I don't know. I guess it just takes some things time to build, obviously. But it was 5 days, taking advantage of the American President's Day holiday on Monday. And through circumstances, I wound up being on camera 4 of the 5 days, which is not to take away anything from all the other. Well, first of all, Brian and Dr. Anne Marie and Dr. Mohammed Noor and everybody who organized it. I'm leaving people out. I'm sorry. Once you go down the list, you're leaving folks out. All the affiliate, all the podcasts. You had the Delta Flyers. You had Shalopod Show. You had everybody for Trek Movies. You had so many great. You had Sci-Fi Sisters. You had so many in the community affiliating in, right? This is like the second event of the year. The Trek Talks 2 was huge and amazing, and of course, it's very focused on as a charity event for Hollywood Food Coalition, which is John Billingsley's passion. But tons of people pulled in for that. That was a one-day talkathon, which was it was like packed into one day and did its job. And then Virtual TrekCon, which had a number of like repeats through the day and some different kind of events, but panels and live events too for 5 days. And then maybe one of the apexes was the Lappy Awards, the Live Long and Prosper Awards. And having a lot of celebrities and, hey, near and dear to my heart, a lot of behind-the-scenes folks jumping in to accept awards, that kind of thing. And especially when you got to the newer categories, and the categories being voted on by fans, but spread out so that you had the legacy shows with their chance and the new shows. And especially those, some pointed at different individual shows, like Strange New Worlds, like Prodigy, like, well, not Picard yet, and then something's just limited to the date. What I'm saying here is that whoever was hosting, some were Seventh Rule, the VTC home, some were here at Trekland. Well, all four of mine, including the Lappy After Awards show, were here. So again, if you haven't done it yet, please like and subscribe. That's part of what they built into it, so that everybody's home channels would have some attention and some traffic, and hopefully new subscribers, and hopefully some survivors. Yes. But it was spread out, diverse. So people did have to click back and forth and see where the next event was coming from. But it was all very clearly the website, the schedule, you got it. The diversity of people, including giving the awards at the awards, the humanitarian awards, the lifetime achievement ones to Doug and to Walter and Chase. But it was so sweet to see that included in the mix of things. So I'm just saying this because I, for the first time, had never gone on live on camera with Terrace Cassidy that I do. He has Geek Nation Tours and does all kinds of events, including the Trek Tour that we do. That's multi-day. And sure, it was a great way to promote that, but it was the first time we had just talked about the nuts and bolts of location stalking and sitting at home and doing research, and much less like why you can do it on your own, but here's what we do when we have a group and it's organized and led for you. And, just being on with Lolita. Unfortunately, Janet was sick. She's still getting over it. But on Thursday, to kick things off, as it turned out, and just having that realization again, we've all been Zooming now. Well, I've been Zooming for 7 years, or free conference calling, but Lolita, I know for the last couple of years, pandemic and all, and there was a Voyager update panel, but she and I, and it would have been Janet, just did kind of like just what we used to do in the 90s and the aughts talk about behind the scenes, especially with them involved. I would go far afield, but being writer focused and heart building focused and just fun things that were part of the day-to-day life, and some stories on the writer, telling tall tales on writers and things. But it just was gratifying to see that. And it's kind of like you have to be kicked in the head. Oh yeah, this will never get old. We always have new people wanting to hear that. And look, I'm being very select. Oh, and then of course, having the great honor, privilege, thrill, and just tickled my heart to finally get back in a much promise we will do specials with Ali again, Dr. Ali Matu, and we did a life support live special edition on Friday, not Saturday. But we had so many lifers and so many new folks, and they gave us an hour and a half, and we did our old format, a little compressed, but we got all the bits in, and it was so much fun to be back with him and interacting with. And a lot of you were there too, and a lot of you consider yourself lifers as well as TTLers, as some of you are Portales, and you tick all the boxes in my Trekland orbit. But I'm just being very selfish here. And then to go live to Gallifrey 1 just for the one day and did a panel, had 3 new folks I'd never met, got to meet. This is why Gallifrey is always interesting. I go in with a light portfolio anymore. I don't even mess with having a table. Just go in for a day, maybe 2, because we're just driving down and back in LA traffic. But, claps on my shoulder, and there's David Gerald. And I haven't seen David since 5 years ago before the pandemic in New York, of all places. But I got to meet also through his wife first, and then realizing who I was talking to, the great Marv Wolfman from Comics World, and then his wife reminding me that, Marv worked on the Star Trek DC and I forget which, but the Star Trek licensed comics in the 90s, 80s, maybe 90s, as well as some of the strips coming in and out of the motion picture that were daily strips. So, Trek adjacent, but still awesome. And in a green room full of celebrities. But Who fans will shoot me because I'm not doing more. But I am what I am. I'm repping Trek at Doctor Who. And obviously I know when the leads are there. And, Colin Baker that I got to see when he did his Star Trek Continues guest shot. And there's a hysterical video out there of him doing his impersonation of a Southern American, stupid wrestler, Basher Baker, that we did, that I interviewed him for, which is hysterical. So that was Gallifrey. It was live, but all of it reminded me even then that even with the reopening we had last year, where I'm getting to, folks, is aside from my exhaustion, and then we had a Portal 47 guest like normal, and I'm still doing Tuesdays live. I have hopefully, I think the weather is actually going to be on our side after all. For our cruisers, we've got a special away days, Trekland Treks Thursday. I've got 10 folks taking a basic tour of 4 sites around Thursday before they get on the cruise for Friday. So I'm resting up a little, but it's, I'm looking at this through my selfish perspective, but it's reminding me, and what people were saying live at Gallifrey, which was still an officially masked convention, I should say, because it was 3,000 people, 2,500, 3,000 people in a hotel environment, not a Comic-Con type, convention center environment. But what I'm getting at here is this has all made me realize how we are still hungry for connection. We are still not back to peak fandom, live or virtual. We are still we didn't flip a switch. As much as we flipped a switch and went into lockdown, the long twilight march out of the depths of the pandemic is still happening. COVID is still out there. It's not killing. Well, it's there. People are dying. And whether I'm thinking the vast majority were not vaccinated. So I know there are death totals that get reported, and in some places they're probably being depressed or suppressed a little bit. But I have people I see once or twice a week, someone having COVID. Of course, it's annoying, and they feel obligated to still, shut in and isolate or pod up with their family or even separate from their family. And no, that's not what's going on here locally. We've tested. Aside from being fully boosted and vaxxed. Yeah, vaxxed, not faxed, vaxxed. Just a few months ago. But we are still unrolling. Terrace and I had a big tour scheduled, our first comeback tour, 10 days scheduled for this July. And it's become apparent that people are still hesitant. Sure, everybody's on the cruise. I think some of that's familiarity and just excitement. And no, nobody enjoys thinking about masking and social, but it's out there. It's, if nothing else, it's annoying, like catching the flu. Okay, well, if you're going to compare it to the flu, and I'm only saying we do not know the long-term effects of even light COVID when you've been vaccinated. We don't know what the long-term cognitive effects are going to be, or lung effects. That's going to be studied for the next 4 decades. But it's still a comfort factor. Terrace and I have pushed off the 2023 tour to 2024, same time frame, July. Not connected to a con. It's still standalone. So if you were thinking about it, now you've got another year to save your pennies, to do your planning, to see how you feel about it, and to see how you feel about everything. The group at Gallifrey, Gallifrey was the last convention I was at before lockdown. It's always President's Day weekend, February. In 2020, it was before the March lockdowns came and pandemic shutdowns. There was one last year, but it was very hesitant. It was half size, right? We've had the half size very much restrained as people, baby stepped out, walking on eggshells out of the pandemic. We've had, shut down half size Vegas, fully masked. We had Vegas not masked. Or masked still last year, and then everybody at night went Yaha, which got me at the parties and things. So, but it's not a black and white process. It's not a calendar date certain. I still feel like it's happening, and because of that, the virtual is still. Of course, virtual is popular to folks who can't travel or who go to their local cons, and it can't compare with the variety of people, of guests. Which is good. Support your local fandom. Please, please do. But unless you're going to travel to New York or San Diego or Vegas or whatever the nearby, or to London or wherever the hell FedCon is, or destination Star Trek is going to be, or Birmingham, whatever the big new thing is near you, the biggest thing, and you can't get there, enjoy your regional. But in the meantime, the pandemic has given us virtual cons like VTC was over the weekend. And I know tons of people were there. It just felt to me like the audience, I'm sure Ryan and the gang will have numbers at some point, whether they want to share them or not, but you could just tell that more people were clued in, more people were there. And yeah, the regulars, like my regulars are, a lot of you overlap with the chat pack, a lot of you overlap with all the online communities, and you're supporting the Greatest Generation was in the pods who were affiliating. It just feels like that movement is getting bigger and bigger. I'm sure Trek Talks 2 will be bigger next year. If I'm leaving out another online event that's been building the last 2 or 3 years and coming out of pandemic, forgive me. Somebody should point it out in the chat. So I guess what I'm saying is I started feeling how exhausted I was. And yeah, I got wound up with, it wasn't my original idea to do 4 different panels. And you think, oh, they're virtual. Okay, but I was learning a lot of new tech. I'm not using it here yet, but I will. But a lot of new tech here in Restream. And we haven't had the video. We had the video of our old timer to use for Life Sport Live, which was cool. And the happy music again. But it was on top of that, and having a Portal guest last week. I'm not whining. I'm just trying to take stock of me with the tour to come. But it also made me think about where we are overall, and how many people I had to explain what free conference call was. People who for years would come on with a phone because they didn't have a webcam, and now it's second nature. So thank you, pandemic. And thank you, pandemic, I think, for making people not take community for granted. People found community, whether it's fandom or otherwise, in their virtual boxes, in their Zoom worlds. And yeah, we had Zoom fatigue and all that from people working and having their hobbies and passions in a Zoom screen. But, I predicted we'd go there first and it would be our savior. But I predicted that it's not going away. People are going to use the best of all of that technology. And that's what we saw with VTC last weekend. It's not slimming down in favor of live. it's getting bigger and still will, even as live is not back all the way. Because a lot of times live, for people who can, does involve travel, and people still are they're recovering financially, if nothing else, but they're also recovering emotionally and taking back. My plus one, who's my web guy Parker, hadn't been out in 3 years, and it's been working and found a way to go, even more virtual than ever. But he was talking about how even being my plus one for a day was his first time out in 3 years, and he's hardly what's the old phrase? He's hardly retiring, but no, he's hardly a wallflower. He's out in the world. So it's been interesting. This is the busiest I have felt in ages, consistently, like domino effect. And I know a lot of other people may be feeling that way too. And then you add in all the excitement of Picard and the feeling that I'm out looking, I'm talking, but also and promoting, but also listening to everybody else, and everybody else is excited and talking, whether you're coming in a thread or the other 47 Star Trek entities out there putting out their content. And you know how I love that word content, but here, their shows, their opinions, their punditry. And yeah, a lot of this is geared around, a lot of this would have been happening anyway because it's a new show. And a lot of it would have happened because it's a new Trek. That's Picard season 3, the TNG reunion. And there was going to be that excitement factor anyway, and the density and the curiosity factor, especially after, is the hype bar too high? Could it be possibly? It's just all of this. It's just all of this hit this nexus, pardon the pun. And no, that's not a clue for episode 7 of Picard or something. All of this has just hit, a mass point here. So again, and then on top of all of that, we, not totally unexpected, but I was thinking, oh my gosh, on top of this, I need to stop and talk about this. We lost another person in the greater entertainment community, but in our Star Trek family, a very special person, although I don't think 98% of our fandom community of any era had a chance to see him at a convention. But the great Gerald Fried, the composer from the original series, if nothing else, yeah, I know, the Amok Time fight music, the Kirk Spock fight combat music, is so iconic. It's so iconic, it's picked up in mainstream movies, and people know what that is, even if they don't know what it is. But everything, his shore leave themes, and Mirmani from This Side of Paradise, or the Paradise Syndrome. I always do that. Well, and This Side of Paradise too. Just those love themes, and even Gilligan's Island and his Emmy that he won for Roots. Let's not forget all of that. And the fact that he was in his in his 90s, but he just 2 years ago, he said, I've probably met him but never interviewed him, but I did get to see him and say hello 10 years ago when La La Land Records, this amazing night, did an amazing box set of everything. You can go back. It's finally sold out. But if you were a music aficionado, you had to have that set. And there was a big opening sales event for it. So many people worked, contributed notes and research and all that. All these takes and alternate takes and entire soundtracks of everything recorded for the original series. And the special guest was Gerald Fried, who played oboe and did a medley of, and I could not believe I happened to pick up my phone, and I think I had the iPad then, but I picked up a phone. No, I didn't. Totally off my phone, about 6 rows back, but a great shot of him. It wasn't even full. I was so mad at the Trek world for not filling that auditorium that night, even just if it was just LA folk. But I got a late start, did stills, realized I should be recording this, looked around. I didn't see any cameras, even official cameras. So I did it. It's there. It's probably one of the top 2 or 3 videos I've ever put on my channel. It got another wave of attention this last week. So I wanted to say RIP Jerry Fried, and a huge thank you. Just 2 years ago during pandemic, a guy who had kept up with his Zoom game, even as he turned the corner into 90, did 2 episodes of the Trek Files with us, and we had memos talking about him and the other composers. So that was, I think I just posted about those 2. The links are up on my site, on Trekland, Facebook, etc. So if you haven't seen those, you might want to take a look. But on top of everything else, I was hoping that the Trek world could pause and remember Jerry Freed. And as some folks pointed out, way beyond Star Trek. But oh my God, what he gave us. And again, a little lost there that later editions of Star Trek, the music choices that were being made weren't near as iconic or long lasting, apart from Ron Jones, who was basically fired for doing it. Yeah, and realizing what a treasure we've got of our current composers who are giving us such great music that people are feeling that vibe. And even our composers now, as with Picard, who are, yes, they're paying, just as we pay homage in the visuals and the characters and the writing, the music pays homage without being derivative. No one's accusing anybody of ripping off Goldsmith or Horner. But yeah, very, all the evocative themes that work into new ones. So kudos to all of that. But on top of everything else, just making sure that we took a breather. I didn't want to have a 9-sentence long title today. I didn't know what else to do. What I'm trying to say here is sometimes I was saying, take a breath, Star Trek was my alternate title for today. It feels like we thought 2022 was going to be the reopening and things were moving that way and we were going through the motion. But we are still reopening and it's doing this. They're bigger and better. But if we're reopening live, virtual is still busting out and it's very much got its place. And for all those around the country here, but around the world, who even if they get to travel to a con, it's once a year, it's twice a year. These other events are just a breath of fresh air. And then what the studio brings on First Contact Day and on Star Trek Day, is Frontier Day going to be the launch of the NX-01? Is that going to be another pre-holiday? Sadly, it's going to be in April, so that would give you 2 holidays in April instead of spreading it out through the year a little more. But there you go. There you go. When you think about what Paramount, I have to now get back to what Paramount's going to do with those days, virtually and live, just adds to the mix. It does. How is everybody feeling out there? Are you? I mean, I think there's people who, I mean, the entire rack of virtual programming from Virtual TrekCon is still there to be seen. If it's like mine, the original chat is there. It takes a day and a half to process it, but it eventually does pop back in. So you can go back if you were talking with somebody and you want to recreate the chat conversation, you can do that. And I know it's been going on in all the live stream shows that have come along, all the virtual events that have come along. I hope that's been a thing. I have started leaving our live stream here up because the original idea was, well, no one's going to want to go back and watch a hour and a half, not live thing, but some people do. And so we've started leaving it up. It also counts toward the stupid YouTube algorithm to help me and our channel here. So yes, we do the edited version now. But if you really want to see what the live show is like, and we're not cutting off, that you can find the live one down there for all hour and a half with the bumbles and the breaks and maybe the occasional, lovely spammer in the chat too. But everybody being there. So I appreciate all of you here. I felt like I should come on, and for a minute it was just going to be another VTC event, but no. And maybe this was a little overkill on my part this year. Somewhere between what I wanted to do and what I was asked to do, and then what I was asked to do late. Thank you, Lolita. As it turned out, it would have just been her solo, which would have been rough. So that was a lot of fun too. But I again, and finding all kinds of new folks in that stream, and maybe some of you are here today. So today, again, not exactly a focused comment here. I don't like to do those. I like to have at least a point. And if nothing else, R.I.P. Gerald Freed, the last of, we have so few folks still with us from the original series in any capacity. And the idea that he was, and he was funny. If you listen to our Trek files with him, he was really, really funny. He wasn't on camera. He did not have a camera. It was all audio. But which were audio too. I mean, well, that's Trek Files is audio, but we didn't come away with a Zoom box to have with him. He recorded it audio only. But I just am feeling really blessed that we got to have that and had a conversation, and in my own personal way got to thank him, since I really hadn't before. And the night of the La La Land thing 10 years ago it felt like there were only 40 people there, but boy, they were intense 40 people. 40, 50, 60 people. So I think that's going to do it for me. So again, a little bit of an umbrella this week, but I had to take a breath myself and look and see what was going to like, what does this mean right now? Where are we right now? What does this mean? Fandom as a microcosm of the world at large. And you know what? I don't think for the folks who are just now coming out to get back to live events, I don't feel, at least where I'm standing physically as well as metaphorically here, I don't think anyone's pushing anybody. People are just coming along on their own comfort zone, and that's fine. That is fine. If anything else about Star Trek, we're always, anti-gatekeeping and whatever, representation and all that. If nothing else, it's like, if you can't be in a comfort zone about how soon and in what form you enjoy your Trek, then we're really at a loss here. So, be patient with folks when you see them live as they come back out of their caves. Still, not everybody came out in 2022. That's what I'm saying. 2022 was just a beta. It's still happening. We're still getting there. We're still looking at our scope of what's doable based on that. And virtual is still going to pick up the slack. And virtual then will not go away. My prediction. It'll be used for the best of its best. So, yeah. How about that? How about them apples? So I can't wait to see what everybody's talking about today. If somehow that feels a little soft, but if I stirred something up, got you thinking, that's awesome. I look forward to seeing your questions in the chat over here. First off, though, I do want to obviously give a shout out to all of our Patreon folk, our TTLers and our live wires. So thank you as always, Diana Hopkins, Robin Wilson, Lawrence Todd, and Marie Siegel, Justin Porteous, Glinda Bruton, Chris Jiggins, Andrew Jazimski, Pranakasha Productions, and Gay Clevin Lundstrom, and our live wires. Halberd Gunn Johnson, Robert McLean, Alan Hoensi, J.R. Poole, Byron Dave Gregory. Dave won the best predictions for the Lappy Awards, by the way, so congrats there. And Casey Shafsky. Thanks again, guys. And if you want to jump in on my Patreon, it's very simple. It's just so simple. It's only $5 and $10 a month. I don't do a whole Kickstarter reward schedule because I do so much else. But thank you for this. And we are diligently working on getting the interviews for the $10 folks for you live wires. We are going to get them. I promise. I have 2 years worth of backlog to get out. Patreon.com/TreklandLive is the place. So thank you for that. And you know what? I'm going to say this. Trek Files is on hiatus. We are on our hiatus. We're going to be back later in March with our 10th season. But you know what? The last 4 episodes, if you did not hear them, are alternate with Terry Metalis, showrunner for Picard Season 3, and Dave Blass, the production designer for Season 2 and 3, and the guy who's is a pro, such a pro, but he's also been a big fan his whole life. And you can tell who of the legacy art folk he brought back into the fold to work on, along with his incredible staff, which also includes tons of fans in the mix. So the Trek Files, 9 seasons are there. Check it out for hiatus time. And if you didn't catch just the last few weeks, it's a perfect time to jump in there now. And maybe what Terry talks about updating Star Trek and taking good care of Star Trek, maybe it will resonate even more now that you've seen episode 1. And of course, it's Larry Mitchek on Twitter, Larry Mitchek's Trekland. Please like and subscribe wherever you are, especially on YouTube, over on Instagram as well, and portal47.net. I don't know how far and wide virtual is going to go, but I bet no one is going to be a mini-con all year long, the way we have done with the folks that you don't normally see, even when virtual starts letting more people into your living room or your office park. So Thank you so much, gang. I'm going to take just a slight break here. But if you're watching us later on YouTube, would love to have you with us. If you can, live Sunday. Maybe you'll be home. Hopefully not homesick, but maybe you'll be home on a Tuesday holiday and you can join us live. That's at 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 Eastern, 9 UK time GMT, and 10 Central Europe. And we are global. We are global, and we are live in the beginning. Hey, also a shout out with everybody seeing us for the first time over the weekend. We have a Trekland store at TeePublic. Love for you to go over there. There are sales twice a month. There are sales. They set the dates. Everybody who has a store on TeePublic is all on sale together. So I always just say, wait till the sale is on. I mean, the amount of coinage that trickles back to us is not that great. So it's like, I'd rather have everybody out there and being able to get something from, the stickers and magnets, but all the stuff, the computer bags and as well as t-shirts and hoodies and everything you can get there. And we have Cadet Alice stuff now as well. So TeePublic is out there too, but I don't talk about that very often. So there you go. Otherwise, what I do talk about is, as we were saying, we're basically okay, but weird stuff happens. And you know what? Even if COVID is like flu for you, it's still annoying as hell. So I'm just saying, I don't know if we'll ever be as Eastern Asia as everybody masking. This seems like that ship has sailed, at least for this generation. Who knows what will come down the pike? Whatever you can do, though, just, be safe, be sound, be healthy, and do all the things. One thing that is not seemingly going away is fake news. Checking your sources. Our bots and troll contingent are still out there. So stay woke. Check your sources. Make sure what you're being told is for real, and make sure what you haven't been told gets to you. Yeah. Truck well, everybody. But you livers, don't go anywhere, because there's not really, I think I'm seeing the, let's jump into parrots real quick, and then I want to get to the chat and see where everybody is. Not like I haven't seen a lot of you the last week between Tuesday, Wednesday night portal, and then Thursday every day except Saturday, and the folks I saw live down at LAX Marriott at Gallifrey 1. No, the parrots seem to have settled into, I think what they've done is they've sold their breaking news data, their average demand expression ranks for American TV, and maybe around the world, but at least the US TV. And yeah, if you're new with us, Parrot Analytics is a company that's tried to find a way to measure popularity of all the streaming digital shows since streaming digital became a thing, came on our radar after Discovery. Thank you, John X, once again. But on our radar after Discovery premiered. They'd been out for a year or two. So the years are piling up. The years are flying by, and it's out there. They scour the internet because the Nielsen's, the old ratings we thought about, were for setting ad rates from commercials on broadcast. That doesn't exist. It's a whole new paradigm. The digital Netflix, Prime, Paramount Plus, Disney Plus, etc., are all keeping those numbers. It's all now state secrets. It's all industry value. So they don't share that the way we used to talk about the Nielsen's. But still, we're curious about what's popular, what's not, what's hot, what's not. Well, Parrot is mining the internet to see mentions, whether it's reviews or fan posts or whatever. And you can debate the merits of that, but at least it's a one-to-one, oranges to oranges way of doing it. And we were watching Star Trek. The animated series have never broken into their American top 10. And if they're not in the American top 10, they're sure not any of the other dozens of markets, even the UK and Germany and Australia, the other big markets for Trek globally. The live actions do break in. And I was just reminded, it was 1 week when Discovery was actually number one early on, when everybody was talking about it. Whether what they were saying was positive or negative is another thing. But last time we were all together, Picard had broken through before premiere. The Buzz had Picard as the number 5 on its average demand for the week ending February 3rd. It dipped a little bit to the 10th, and here it is, the 21st. Parrot, I think, is selling their latest data now at TV Geek. where you can see it. And this is all publicly available. They're just not updating their own site as much. So the new update at their own site was for February 10th. The trend lines are all up. It was up, but it's still 10 days old, and that was still pre-premiere. What's interesting is over at TV Geek. Let me get over here. They're giving you an average demand, but they're also the demand expression. And on their scale of the top half, they're doing everything. All American TV and all TV around the world and all 500, 600 series that are out there. Just the newest data we had from them, and again, I'd love to follow somebody else if it was good. Nielsen is trying to get into this mode, and they have been unsuccessful. Not happy with some of the networks, not happy with them. But late Picard, it dropped the next week from the 3rd to the 10th of February pre-review, from the 5th down to the 8th place. Although the numbering was still pretty much, the ranking was still pretty much the same, but their top 10 position was a little down. Other things zoomed and boomed. So the latest I had here, just for the hell of it, their average demand score was 38, which was a little higher than where they were when they were 5th and 8th. Their peak demand, is trending up to 45. So, which their average demand, their peak rate made them number 13 on some days, which is weird because they should be in the top. I don't totally understand this, but the bottom line here is that Picard is spiking and peaking, and it's easier to understand with those week-old ratings, except they're a week old. But the peak and the average, just suffice to say that it's in the top 0.5% of all series here. It's got to be in the top 10. And again, 2 weeks ago, it had a 38 score and was number 5, and now it's 38 and peaking at 45. So it should technically even be higher in the top 10 American ranks. So if that was all gibberish to you, sorry. But Picard is doing about what we would expect based on the other live action Treks, and it's what we're doing on the expectation that everybody's in love with it and talking about it. So that's passing for our Parrot report of the week. Let's see. I'm back scrolling here, though. I'm going to zoom through these as best I can. Let's see what you all think and what's on everybody's mind this week. And again, if you are new to TTL here, even if you said hello and we talked over the weekend, if you're new to our Tuesday audience, make sure and sound off, say hi, and pipe up. And, the bottom line is I love actual questions, but we'll probably devolve at some point. And if I see some new folks, I'll try to give you a shout out. Let's see what's going. Oh, thank you, Scott. If you all didn't see this already, all of the VTT stuff, which was 90s Backstage Trek with Lolita, the Life Support Live reunion Friday, Sunday night, I kind of led the wrap-up party. We missed Brie Belkey. She got sick and couldn't join us at the last minute, which I understand. That's happening close to home here. But still had Char and John Arcorola and Dr. Anne Marie in with us there. And we had a lot of fun. The Lappies were such an event. They were, here's what's going to happen, here's what's happening, and here's what just happened. Classic speech methodology there. But everybody had a great evening. And the gang did an incredible job of those awards and all the guests, and I just knew they were exhausted. I don't even want to compete with the exhaustion level that gang, that Ryan and everybody. I even had to say Point Ryan because I know everybody's working very hard up and down the line of all that. But thank you, Scott, for putting the link in there. Let's see. And here you go. Don't take my word for it. Yeah. And I think a lot of people were recording and still getting through things. Oh, Christoph. VTC4 was maybe too much. Well, get to another. If you get to a desert, if you get to some fallow weeks, maybe we'll see. And the reviews are coming in. So Duralta, Will and Jean-Luc, awesome buddy cop comedy series. And Captain Shaw, not very nice. Well, hang around. I'm not saying Captain Shaw is going to become a pussycat, but you will probably learn a lot more about Captain Shaw coming in. Yes. Oh, well, I stole your words here, except you chatted them before I did, Scott. So thank you. Oh, and I didn't mention the locations special there. There you go. Boom. Um, there you go. Hey, Dave, and once again, congratulations. He won a really good prize package for making. I said, well, I wasn't on the show. I said in the chat that it reminded me a lot of the of Majel Barrett's old Oscar parties, where everybody put in and you predicted that. Oh, let's see. Everybody's David, I think I've won you over to everything Trekland, so it's good to see you back. I saw you popping in all weekend long. Well, this is the thing, Scott. You liked 1 and 2 of Picard. You're loving 3, and it doesn't feel that much different. And to you, that's fine. So here we go. Yes, absolutely, Roland. And hello, Roland. I think you've been on with us, but meteorologist Katie is adorable, smart, wonderful fan, and very professional as meteorologist in a small market up in the upper Midwest. But she was at the premiere, was rear-ended in her rental car on the way home by apparently a drunk on the freeway and spun into other lanes, and her car flipped, and she walked away with very little damage, although they were checking her out and they were worried about her flying with her anyway, they had to check her out. She did get home. She was back on the other night helping out the gang with some of the events. So yes, it was great to see. And meteorologist Katie is the new wave, is the younger generations of fandom too, and doing awesome, like everybody else who's showing up and repping. So I totally agree with you. Yes. Oh, look, it's a it's a spam bot. Okay, they're gone. Well, Melanie, is it possible to overdose on Star Trek or music or whatever gives you joy? I don't know, gang. I'm sure people responded to that. Well, famously, we have a Star Trek quote for that, one of the classics. Sometimes too much of anything, even love, is too much, Lieutenant. Kartuhura and Tribbles. Well, Cyrano Jones says the Tribbles are the only love money can buy. Yeah. In the line for Fat Tuesday, Paxi. So you're listening in. Hey, down in New Orleans. Yes. I survived Virtual TrekCon 4. Hey, look who's here with us in the daytime. Dr. Dave, it's good to see you, sir. Did you guys take 2 days off for President's Day? It's good to have you with us. And thank you, Scott. Here's my second opinion, which is only about 12 minutes long, covering chapter 1 or part 1 specifically, but you know what I mean, of season 3, and the reaction to Picard season 1, episode 1, and the reaction of Picard season 1. Let's see here. John VC4 equals out of sight. Is that what we're saying? Very cute. I feel like I'm doing concentration puzzles again. Okay. Oh wait, that's Jeopardy. That's our Fleming Jeopardy. Sorry. Let me see here what we've got. Yeah, live support, live deja vu. We tried to have all the trappings, all the trimmings, just like our old life support lives growing up. Hi. CW, hi. Are you new with us here on Tuesdays? But thank you for coming in on YouTube. And listen, I totally understand your hesitance. I totally understand. And you don't even want to trust. How can it be this overwhelming love for? Here's the thing: the new paradigm of streaming shows, not always, but it has the capacity now, more than even the old 26 episode a year shows, that way of looking at TV. These shows, it's much easier for big swings because different people come and work. It's almost like working an elongated movie. Movie crews, even if it's like the Star Trek movies, lots of people came and went. It's not like watching 26 hours of an old 26 episode season or even 10 hours now. Well, 10 is closer to 2 than 26. And, 10 hours is like 5 movies in length, time-wise. 26 would have been 13. So the 5 is what I'm saying here is a single person coming and going in a 10 episode season now, streaming serialized season, can have you'll see the impact of their coming or their going much quicker, much faster, much more apparent, more in your face than the old days. And it's a lot like when you see people come and go from movies, from like a series, like a franchise movie, like Star Trek or any other franchise movies, James Bond or Star Wars or what, Fast and Furious even, good grief. So yes, what I'm trying to say here is one person arriving can be the catalyst, the trigger, the light switch that does make a difference. Just because it's got that branded title, where am I? Boom. Just because you've got that branded title, season 2, well, this is season 2 also, does not mean that it's not important. Now, it doesn't mean that it's going to happen necessarily, but look at Discovery 1 to 2 to 3 onward. Has definitely got a tone that's calmed down and settled in. Strange New, we'll see. Strange New is fairly intact from 1 to 2, so we'll see if that's a factor in whether we like it even more or like it just the same. But or any of the critiques we might have had from Strange New. I'm just saying, it's not insane if it's not crazy for people to say they love 3 where they didn't so much 1 and 2. You're not imagining things. People aren't drunk. That's a totally viable, rational position to have. So I would say, as I bet the rest of the chat is going to say, is I understand that you don't want to be hurt, but and I don't think if you may have some disappointments or criticisms, but I don't think you will have hurt. If 1 and 2 just you could not watch them, I don't think 3 will be the same. I could be wrong. I'm just saying, taste it. Stick your toe in the water and try episode 1 and see what you think. And again, remembering that it's just a chapter, not a standalone episode, okay? And I'd love for you to come back next Tuesday and tell us what you think of episode 2, if you do. Let's see. Yeah. And see, Roland, that's when I interviewed her when I was doing the companion in 93, I heard that. And then for several years, she didn't tell that on the con circuit because she was worried that it would diminish her Star Trek, even though she's there in the nexus of everything Trek, right there in the writer's room, and looking at spec scripts come in and helping keep track of everything, and then lining up people, helping them get to conventions before she became a convention agent full time. For a few years, she thought if she told that story, it would lessen her cred. But now, the years have gone by, and Lolita's Lolita, and it's a little liberating. And she started telling that story again. There were a few years when I would tell the story, and I think she was kind of like, "Don't say that. Like, don't do that." So cool. As I said, everything old is new again, and that dawned on me about 10 years ago. And I was like, okay, our work here is never done. And thankfully, we've got more and more people helping us do that. So cool. I'm glad you enjoyed it. I'm glad to see you. Glad to see you here in our Tuesday bunch too. Yes. Marv Wolfman, the one who did The Flash and many things. DC and Marvel at times, right? Yes. I've got a selfie I should be posting. I have 2 or 3 selfies actually from Gallifrey, from MahooCon. But there you go. A lot of people were. I couldn't because it was hard enough keeping up with 2 different series in a movie for canon, and not to be infiltrated by other things that were going to be one-off and done or totally ignored in the future. But they were filling in for a lot of folks in between adventures and things. Uh, so, Christoph, your critique here, you were surprised how disconnected 3 is from 2, particularly with the back-to-back shooting. Picard planned for 3 seasons from the beginning. Basically, yes, I think they were still dodgy, but I know Patrick very early on said, well, we'll go at least 3 seasons and see, or something. And a lot of that was just him trying to hedge. He's trying to hedge, not lose. To be blunt, he is as consummate an actor as he's already gauging himself just physically for what he's going to be putting up with. And they're already shaping the production to be able to accommodate him, starting with doing it in LA. That was his demand. And of course, he would wish himself the best of health forever. But he didn't want to slack off. He didn't want the performance or the series or Star Trek to suffer from, if they say, oh, let's do 5 years. And the last year he was physically, sagging. He was physically not where he was even a few years earlier. And the show was carrying him. And he didn't want to do that. So he did not, for the good of himself and the show and the concept and Star Trek overall, want to do it. So they thought 3, we'll get that done. And then COVID hit after all the decisions had made. So on top of all of that, and they go into COVID lockdown. And then they still had their lockdowns because they would have crew people, as we were talking about over the weekend. Who was I talking about this? No, I'm sorry. We were talking about this at Portal 47 with the great Ellen Horniman, who had Hornstein, who had started off as a PA, and her uncle was production line manager on the 4 Next Gen movies and the 2 and 5 and 6 before that. She was talking about, and she came back full circle and was assistant production coordinator for Picard, and was talking about, gave the Portales a dose in what the camp looked like and how they were divvied up during shooting, and how even then they would have a break. And I think sometimes it would filter out to the mainstream media. It would filter out to at least Trek World that, oh, Picard had to shut down for COVID for a couple of weeks until everybody could be tested and the person sick come back and all of that. Yes, Colin Baker is amazing, and deserved to have much more of a slice of the Doctor Who pie. This is the not big Doctor Who fan saying that I know enough about it to say that. Let's see what's going on. And well, this is, kudos to them to not just do an old school American cutoff. Kudos to Jerry Taylor for having Kess in for a couple of episodes before her character just disappeared, which is my topic. I get into this. Thank you, Scott, as you know, Scott. But for everybody else, this is what I get into a little bit with my second opinion this week. And if you're there for the deep cuts to Bonanza and My 3 Sons and Happy Days, you'll be right in step with me. Deep cuts. The IDW comics are varied and impressive and major. Yeah, this whole comeback, Kirsten Beyer being part of that, trying to find a path to be cohesive with the print media stories. Let's see. Looking. Oh, well, thank you, Kyle, for the shout out. Very premiering What to Expect, no spoilers, but it might give you a reason to watch it, CW. Yes, exactly. That would be a safe 12 minutes you could invest, CW. So, John X, you were assuming episode 1 of Picard 3 was a prologue. You were slightly disappointed. It's a good episode, though not to the level of the season 1 or 2 premiere. You think we had it 30% too much nostalgia, hoping there's a better balance later on. Well, see, I think part of this is just, you've got to lay down certain markers. It's the first show. It's the, I've gone blank on my literary and dramatic terms. The exposition. We used to say, act 1 of a play is act 1, scene 1 of a play is rough because you have to get the exposition. You have to lay everything, and you can't be on the nose. So how long has it been since Grandpa joined us? when the family was intact before Uncle Fred died there in the war, before the great pandemic of the Spanish flu, and we all had the Christmas tree that burned down and killed 3 cousins. You don't put information like that in one person's speech. The more artfully you can get the exposition out. And Star Trek, we can do it visually. We can even do it, flashbacks, whatever. So the first episode of a season of premiere, it's rough. It's like Strange New had to combine introducing characters with actually having a plot of its own. You don't envy. That's why a lot of times the old school pilots were 2 hours if they had the luxury. If the Berman era had that luxury. So I'm going to say what part of the exposition, the nostalgia is wrapped up in that, because how do you have exposition talking about characters without bringing it in? Because on one hand, you've got to prove that you know who these people are. So if panning the camera across Beverly's, well, there wasn't a plasma candle torch, but across, her flowers and her masks that used to hang in her quarters. I mean, if that was too much nostalgia, then maybe so, but it's setting a tone for other people. So I'm thinking I'm going to say, watch episode 2. I think the balance as you see it is going to naturally correct, because there won't be such a need to have exposition out there. And I think everybody got the idea. I said I don't want to keep repeating my second opinion from last week, but if you were expecting the TNG reunion meant that everybody showed up all at once, that's not happening either. There was no great class reunion photo. Yet, anyway, although we know they get there thanks to the trailers. They're all sitting around the old conference lounge table once again, at least for one moment. There we go. Oh my gosh, and everybody in the UK, a lot of folks were at Sci-Fi Ball Live this weekend. Wow. But Christoph, I get it. You could totally overdose. And this is a case of, well, they're all recorded. Just, pace yourself out there. I haven't. I'd like to go watch a couple of other folks. And that's going to be paced out. Well, Duralta, it sounds so simple when you say it. Well, here you go, Jason. The Star Trek logs on Instagram. Saavik was the captain on Titan before Riker. Did she and Spock ever see each other again after the voyage home? Well, and was Riker's Titan? Was that like the Titan? I haven't dived into the nitty gritty nuts and bolts. So maybe we've got a tech head here, Canonista that has. That's one thing. I've been so busy doing stuff, I haven't got time to geek out yet, which is killing me. I see everybody who is geeking out. They're the ship porn and the continuity, the small print, the print underneath the ships at Starfleet in episode 1 of Picard season 2, that kind of stuff. I haven't had a chance to double that up again yet. Yay. Well, a big yay for you, Anne-Marie. Good Lord. This last weekend. And thank you for all your show. Are they recording live? Are they posting tapes from Sci-Fi Ball? We'll see. This is true. It has to the Picard season 3 end credits. And technically, those end credits are really the opening credits delayed. The real end credits are cool because they're in Crilly, they're in TNG font, but they're still just the end credits. But because the opening credits are is there a word for front above the line credits that are at the end? Because now we can't just say if it's in front, it's the above the line, it's behind, it's back. Now you have to say, well, if you get the special Okudagram treatment, you're above the line. And above the line meaning you get residuals. All those folks at the end, the second assistant caterer's dog walker, they get paid, but there's no residuals. So the writers, directors, and now apparently key design people, much less, and maybe that's a formula of the 10 episode short seasons we have now. Let's see. Well, this is what I mean. It was always at Bonn in the old days, and then they did Dusseldorf, and I didn't remember they went to Bochum. Okay, I've been in all those towns. Oh, Anne Marie, you are just too effusive, my dear. But thank you, thank you. There you go. Hashtag chat pack. Hashtag respected podcast. Here you go, Zahir. This is the Beverly you've always wanted to see. Cool high stakes story. Hope for the Red Lady line will be interesting. I know. I get the feeling there's all kinds of things. And any of you who are frame grabbing and slowly pausing on all these graphics that fly by, there's probably a good reason in the end. Oh, Christoph, your favorite pandemic online was still Nonfiction Friday. It would have deserved thousands of attendees. Well, that was part of it, Christoph. Maybe we'd make another run at it with a different format setup, you know. I thought Nonfiction Friday would be too. I thought between the old timers and all the hungry young kids, I would have thought Nonfiction Friday would have had tons of people. But then again, I thought Life Support Live would have tons of people. So maybe it was just, we just weren't good marketers. Maybe we weren't googie enough. Although that's the thing. I thought we were googie enough in both of them. There's nobody googier than Dr. Ali when he gets googie. Let's see. Oh, well, thank you, David. I mean, we did the first three, the earlier three VTCs on the Saturday. We just made our regular life support episodes. They were doubled up. They did one, and then they got back into this slot. So there was one in the fall of 2020 as a, oh my God, pandemic, let's plan this. And then there was President's Day. Number 2 was President's Day in 2021. And then now they've had this format since then. So, but the first year in 2020, it was a fall, and then they figured out what they wanted to do. And on all three of those, we were running. And in fact, last year's was right before we finally ended it after almost just a month shy of 2 years. And our normal Saturday show was just the 10 o'clock VTC segment was the panel for 10 o'clock on Saturday morning Pacific time. So, but thank you. And it was cool to make our first time back that. We keep increasingly talk about when are we going to do a special? Will it be live? Will it be virtual? And of course, virtual is easier to do. But I love the challenge of doing a live, just like we did a live Trek Files at Vegas last year. It was supposed to be on a big stage, but then that was Bally's compromises. So maybe we can actually do Live Support Live, or we can do Trek Files on a stage at Vegas with all the works. But to have John and to have everybody there live, and Andrea Richardson Kendrick as our guest, and having her live and just in front of people anyway all weekend long was all part of the magic of that. John X. Larry does good panel. Well, I've been doing it long enough. Oh, and I thought at the beginning I was doomed. At the beginning, I mean, the first year the companion was, I didn't know what I was doing for panels. I thought I was boring people to tears. Somebody said later on, I had an attitude when I got the right mindset for it. But in the first time or two I did, it was dead quiet. And I didn't know to build in obvious funny jokes, but I learned that later. But the main thing was, I said, people were like, were they just asleep? Did I put everybody to sleep? It was like, nobody said anything. And somebody said, oh no, nobody wanted to say anything because they were so busy. They were terrified they'd miss something, which was weird to me. It was a compliment, but it was still weird. All right, Nathaniel, hey. Observation. Didn't many of the people who criticized Discovery and Kurtzman Trek in general complain about all the interpersonal conflicts between the main characters? Now that they're falling over each other to praise the new Picard season, isn't it funny how it introduced 4 sets of interpersonal conflicts? Well, yeah, but they were known interpersonal conflicts. Well, not maybe around Shaw and maybe around whoever's stalking Beverly. and her son at the end. By the way, I've mentioned it in Second Opinion, but he has a name out there. If you read the press materials quoted from Memory Alpha on down, he has a name, but I won't spoil it here for you. What are you saying, Zahir? The only thing you didn't get and don't see with Beverly ever happening was she cut the ties to us, Beverly. Well, again, texture, not trivia. Aren't you intrigued now? You ask me. You must be. You must be. Things happen in life. We don't know. Isn't that a line somewhere? We don't know what we're going to be. We can't predict the future. Mm-hmm. Well then, David, we'll see you. We'll see you as soon as you can get here, okay? Or get in touch with me. We'll see you. Remember, those event tours are they're the one-offs. The normal is you're coming, you concierge with me, we work it out, I lead you. Just one-to-one, or you and 2 or 3 other people. Or if there's more than that, we get a van. So I'm glad. That's what it's all about, man. Narda. Nice turn of phrase, Narda. You just thought, my friends, we've come home. There is that. There's that. Now, what is this? Make sure I understand here. Oh, the fandom is desperate. They don't have much to criticize, so they're reaching, which is, the whiny class, the criticizing class of population has to have something to gripe about. The againers, my uncle told me, the people who will always vote against every bond issue, no matter what it's about, like school bonds or something. They're just the againers. They're just against it. So yes, good point there. Let's see. Well, John, I think again, hang in there. I think that will calm down once they get out of these expositionary episodes at the beginning. And of course, Glenn, it wouldn't be a Tuesday without you, man. There you go. Let's see. Oh, there's a shout out. Glenn and Anne Marie and all the Treklanders and Jack Pat from David. Boom, there you go. And yes, rest in peace, Gerald Frieden. Thank you. Not only you can tell how iconic it is because how many times did they use it over and over again? It was really written for Ruth, his old girlfriend, Ruth's theme or whatever. But how many times did they use it again and again? Da 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 da. You know. Reused it for Spock and Layla, if nothing else. Ouch. Okay, Glenn, I hear you. Yeah. Gerald Fried was your favorite composer in Trek of all time. Absolutely. See, I always he did several scores and he died early and he wasn't around quite as long as the other composers and did as many interviews. But Saul Kaplan and Doomsday Machine, because of the Doomsday Machine, is always top there too. But how do you top the Amok Time score and its impact on pop culture? You can't. Hey, CW, I'm going to see what you're saying because I think you're quasi new to us. Been watching TOS lately and really enjoying the music. Is fantastic and really sets the tone for the series. Oh, yes. What is the Twitch channel called? Well, Roland, it's still called Life Support, but it's been intending to be changed to Dr. Trek for ages. So someone will show you, I'm sure, but that's it. And I do treat it like a stepchild a little bit, but it's there to collect anybody who's on Twitch and snare them into Star Trek, maybe. And yes, our Robert Cairo is doing 2 film location talks again because the European market is so hungry and not all the fans there can get themselves over to LA. We're going to start, Terrace and I are going to start working on the Toronto area locations too. He's the Canadian, but he's in Western Canada. Oh, thank you, Scott. There's the link Boom, it's in the chat. And some of you saw it, the link to the Gerald Fried video. It's now sports a brand new title card that it didn't have before because it's from 2012, the ancient days. Well, because, Jason, they were huge to make. They made a certain amount. They didn't sell out for, I mean, you had plenty of time to get one. It's just been 10 years. Maybe they will reissue the whole set again, but they need to let the demand accumulate. But yeah, they're expensive on eBay because they didn't just make 12 or 47. I mean, they made several hundred sets, but they sold a ton of them at the beginning, and then they gradually sold at retail until they were finally gone, what, 3 or 4 years ago? So it's a case of letting the demand back up again. Maybe when the original series, maybe when more people are able to get a little older and not see the original series as so dated, but they see the timelessness of it, and they realize what the rest of TV in the 60s look like. Maybe when the rest of them feel like CW here, there'll be demand for the original series music. And the music is apart from whatever you think of the acting and the writing and the staging, the art looks, even if you're not happy with it. So that's why. Oh, Anne-Marie, you're just too sweet. It's just amazing. I was just in shock that there weren't official cameras set up that night, or video, if nothing else. It was 2012. It wasn't like it was the 80s. Well, it's just the math, John. It's just the math. We're lucky. We have very few of them. And you're probably thinking of actors. We have Ralph Sinensky, who's like the last of the directors. Jerry Fried now, is he the last of the composers? Andrea Weaver, who I had on Portal 47 very early because she was 22 when she was the woman's costumer the last 2 seasons of TOS. But they had that night at the La La Land, they had a reunion of folks. Jodie Augusta was the young, you had to be young then. So the young casting director, radical young casting director, Jodie Augusta is around. Of course, young David Gerald is around. Yeah, we're losing people from the Next Gen era and DS9 and Voyager. Yeah, Jason, I have no ego to bruise here. I was kind of shocked, and I'm just glad that I had the smarts to set my stupid little iPhone up and record it. And then it came out as sharp as it did, thankfully, because it was just black. It was him spotlit on black, so that helps. Yeah. I'm getting there. Christoph. We're working on it. It would help if I had sponsors. Sponsors would make me feel more regimented and not like, oh, well, it's just a home live show. See me tonight? What's going on tonight, Ryan? Did I miss something tonight? What day is Frontier Day? Well, Carl, I took it to be the launch. I took it to be the launch of the later in April than First Contact Day. I took it to be the launch of the NX-01, according to Archer's log, when he's giving actual Gregorian calendar days. That's what I took it to be. Now I haven't pinged Terry or anybody else to see in advance because it puts it, early in the year. So, yeah. Oh, thank you, John Connor, on the side over here. We're talking about story. I'm going to read you what John, who can't come into our chat, but he's texting me, talking about, for one thing, that night at the La La Land event, it was pretty clear that shooting in the theater, filming in the theater, was a no-no. So it's possible that anyone who would have otherwise shared it hasn't uploaded it yet or captured it for their own purposes. Well, I don't remember anything like that, John. And it's the kind of thing where we were in a dark theater and you could have put your camera on the chair, your armchair, which is what I did, and I had a clear angle, and it's what I did. But my thing is, I'm still shocked that La La Land didn't do something. Yeah, and I don't, and yeah. Anyway, oh no, not Picard. I was talking about the La La Land night 10 years ago. Yeah. No. There was no shooting. No, you were supposed to. They didn't confiscate phones like they did at first and put them in those resealable bags. They did that for Discovery, and I'm trying to think if they did it for the Picard premiere in 2020. They didn't mess with phones last night. Yep. Let's see, chat wise. Oh, Frontier Day. So this is, somebody's going to grab it before I can, or you already have. But just to say, because I did look it up. And I mean, basically Broken Bow, but not just like this, because they didn't do star dates early in Enterprise, right? They did calendar days. They did Gregorian Earth-based calendar days, because apparently nobody then stopped to think that it was just as pointless as we all realized it already. Yes. Well, April 16th, they had been tracking the Suliban for 10 hours. So they were out. They were out on April 16th. Now, whether they, I don't think they did they launch on, they had the recorded speech by Cochrane. Anyway, a muddle. Yeah, the April 16th is too late in April for them to have already been out. They're already on the way. I was thinking there was a date for the launch of the ship, but there you go. So it's fudgeable. It's totally fudgeable. Let's see. First Contact Day is 6 weeks away. Might get some new show info. I hope. I hope. And I think so far they're making Star Trek Day in September a live event, as they've tried to do here twice and tried to grow it coming out of pandemic. First Contact Day still feels like something they're going to keep virtual and try to do a few things. Let's see. No, Frontier Day, 250th Federation anniversary. Frontier Day is marking the birth of Starfleet, and they're not counting Earth Starfleet. So they're talking Federation Starfleet. So 2161 was when the charter was signed. There's been no canon date for the charter signing, which you would date the Federation itself. So the instituting of Starfleet's commissioning or whatever, and people saying that they're dating it to, yeah. There was a weird moment when I have to dig into this. I swear to God, Memory Alpha was dating the early episodes of this season 10 years later. They were saying it was 2511. And I think they were dating it to the Federation founding in Starfleet then. Anyway, there's a little story there that's yet to unravel, and I want to see, unless I just dreamed the whole thing. Because I thought 250 from 2501 was 2151. And okay, it's the launch of Archer's, the first Warp 5 ship, even though it was still pre-Federation. That's it. And then I think Terry has since said that, but I think there was a confusion factor for a week or two. Everybody coming in late's just cool. Hello, Susan. Hello, Di. Hello, everybody jumping in late. It's all good. Define late? Define late. Okay. Right. I think this is still, we may get it in the show. We'll see. That may be still hedgeable, Carl. Well, that's a stupid question. I'm only channeling Bashir's augments from Patrick. I'm only channeling Patrick here. Is the fan community going to start celebrating Frontier Day, Well, of course, but again, we have to know the day before it'll happen. Are you kidding me? Of course they will. Somebody will. That may become the ship nerds holiday. I would think so. Yes. All the ship pornistas will be there. Hey Steve. Good to see you, man. You always take me right back to the early days. Hope everything's going. We will cross paths. We'll meet up, Steve. If I have to come to Amarillo to do it, that sounds like a threat, doesn't it? No, I didn't mean that. What was this? 40% of the virtual TrekCon 4 team joined us. Wow. Oh, today. Yes. Let's see. This is, thank you, Scott. This is what I'm saying. Yes. Larry, did I like episode 1 or 2 of season 3 Picard better? Okay, there's still a blur. I had to go back and watch 1 again to remember where it cut off before I talked about it. They're a blur right now because but I saw 1 and 2 together, and then 3. And then it took me forever to see 4 and then 5, and I still haven't watched number 6, which kills me. It's going to take a while. I can't quantitatively think about them that way yet. I'm just in them for the story, and if something is a screaming red flag at me, I'm like, oh, okay, well, we're going to have to figure out how to explain that. Then that gets my attention. Otherwise, I'm just enjoying the story and the reveals and the choices so far, and the questions that crop up. Like, anyone has questions, like, what's that green meat? Was that alien space food that Shaw was eating? It's the important things people want to know. Then Todd Stashwick was laughing. People were asking him, and he's laughing about his space food. And Terry jumped in to laugh about it too. So too early to tell. I feel like election night. It is too early to call. 1 and 2. Yes, absolutely, Jason. Absolutely. I'm writing the Bible to celebrate Frontier Day as we speak. So you can take it to the bank. Credits or Navy beans. And there you go. Thank you, Scott. He's Johnny on the spot with the links today. That's Terry talking about what Frontier Day is, and actually Metallis Prime. A question later for Larry, but I can't answer it now. Do you know why the tag at the beginning of the first episode of Picard season 3 in the 25th century was missing on? Oh, I do not. Maybe it was just some kind of a transmission thing. I don't. That's interesting. Interesting. I do not know. If salmon is for Federation Day, what does one serve on Frontier Day? Well, apparently catfish, if you listen to the Trip Tucker Memorial Library staff. Beans, like that's good. Okay, Glenn, very good. Will Rogers would have loved that. Yes, absolutely. Little green and yellow blocks. I always thought those were like large marshmallows. Couldn't really see the depths of it. Oh, JR. Speaking of virtual, you were at a CBS Live thingy with Sonequa and Celia today. Awesome. Cool. Yeah, if you know. Well, I think I spoiled the if you know, you know. Sorry about that. Steve, do not quote me. I know. Somebody's going to see this massive rumor come out of the heartland now. And if episode 7 of Picard does include a Nexus, there's Jean-Luc's chance of being Kirk back. Make it so. Yeah. Should Larry play McCoy in season 5? Can I have more than 2 weeks to get over my rust and do it this time? Yeah. No, young McCoy. It's young McCoy. And thank you, Scott. For those of you shopping along at home, there's the TeePublic link. Yeah. VTC4 from Christoph. Shout outs to everybody. Absolutely. Absolutely. Trek is meant to be made in Austria. You guys are holding down the fort at both ends of the country. You're West Coast and Cairo is East Coast. Yeah, right. Well, thank you, Narda. You show them off and you get them and you look good in all of it. So, and kudos to some of my older logos and things were my friend Kevin Hopkins, and some of the later stuff has all been Scott's work, by the way, everybody. Write letters, people. Oh, TT for N. Okay. Bye, Steve. You would prefer to keep masking yourself, still checking your sources. There you go, Dwight. You should be allowed to do what you need to do for yourself. JR. Thanks. Speaking of live, we won't do it live. The folks we always don't see thanks to virtual, we get to know more about. We may know names, but not their faces. Thanks for the opportunities to learn more. There you go. When we go live. Yes. There you go. The quick parrot's needle, the squawk. Yeah, I know. I see. It's not his fault. I think Paul Wesley's obviously a great actor, a cool actor. Vampire Diaries. I just don't think he was the choice for Kirk. Even younger, thinner, pre-McCoy and Spock Kirk. We will see. Yes. What? Somebody suggested the title of Star Trek historian on the virtual Trekland. I think Larry should get what? Okay. Whatever. The only thing about being historian is it's like, I'm here in the present too. I don't carry dusters around in my back pockets. Yes, that's what I was trying to say there too. Yes. Larry already has an official title, Dr. Trek. Dr. Star Trek. Yes. As she does say. Okay, you guys, you're very cute there. John X. The first Trek thing I did, really, we did a video. I did it for a TV class in college. It was videotape. But we wrote, in fact, my friend Steve, that's been bopping in the chat, Steve and I co-wrote a script. And then we were two of he was Kirk, I was McCoy. My friend Kevin that did my art was Spock. My good old friend Cody Clark was Scotty. And we had we built a bridge set out of theater flats, and we just had a one set, which we used. It was like a 20-minute parody that basically had two parts. And the parody name was Star Trek because it was Oklahoma. And as my dad used to say, you like that Star Trek stuff? No, excuse me, I didn't do it right. I said that. You like that Star Trek stuff? That's my dad when I was younger. Yes, Dad, I like that Star Trek stuff. Mm-hmm. Oh, you guys are too insane. Picard could donate his android body to Kirk. Yeah. And 7 would spin off a 7 of 9, just which Proton Star 3, a bigger Delta flag. Yeah, right. Or all of them. Or all of the above. Well, it's glad to see again. Good to see. There is no late here. Everybody's fine. Everybody's welcome. There was no roll. There's the backtrack place. Yay. Okay. Well, this is the other thing. Star Wars, Star Trek, what's the difference? Well, one is warring and one is trekking. Yep. Thank you. Thank you, Wanda. Hello. Is this your first time with us on Tuesday? Or maybe not. Maybe you're lurking, but cool. Nice to see you. And how can you go wrong when you've got John and Anne Marie and Char, the great Char Schmiede, everybody. Yes. Mm-hmm. And Mona made it. Yay, Mona. Let's see. Who wants to see? Hey, Justin. Who wants to see Captain Shaw start coming on the bridge with a swagger stick? AKA, a la Captain Styles. I know people are going like the Jellicoe Styles needle there. Oh, Melanie. Okay, I usually do most times. So if that was the first time you'd ever heard me do that, then good. Yay, yay, yay. I actually, on top of everything else this weekend, I had a birthday reception for a friend of mine who turned 95 and is doing good. But I ran down and ran back and got home 15 minutes before we had our call time for the wrap party. So a little backstage there. But I did see the very end because they went a little over, so we were watching to see where they end. So the one thing I did get to see live was the ending bits there, and it was very much so. You wanted to see Seven Deck Captain Shaw, and the rest of the crew applauded for that. Oh yeah. Oh, look at this. Virtual Trek Con 1 and 2 playlists are 47 videos. VTC 3 and 4 are only 33. So VTC 4 was not too much. Well, but was VTC only 4 videos? I mean, you could. No, they made smart use of letting things rerun for the European hours from the earlier hours. The stick was it was an old military. You'd see, especially the British. The British loved that stick. I think, didn't Monty have a swagger stick? It was a big 18th, 19th century thing, or 19th, 20th century thing. All that. Yes, absolutely. I was very glad that meteorologist Katie was able to walk away. It was scary when they didn't want her to fly for a couple days because they wanted to monitor some of her fluidic pressure systems to make sure her body was okay to take the flight pressure of being in a yes. Oh, actual question, Duralta. What is in the silver Star Trek Picard bag? That was I'll show you. This was if you went to the 10 Forward pop-up in LA or at Comic-Con San Diego, and maybe later on too, maybe on the cruise or whatever. It's just some of the swag stuff was in it, especially from San Diego. See, this is stuff I never. So there's a glass. It's all the backside of it. The backside of the Picard has 10 Forward, and it was big. But they rung a lot of promotional marketing. It was very smart. And what's funny is Dave Blass will tell you is they were going to build another one, and so now I know that all the 10 Forward scenes in Picard that you've seen some already, just minus Guinan. The 10 Forward scenes you've seen were all shot pretty quickly early in the process because instead of building another one and taking measurements, Dave Blass looked at the marketing people and said, we're going to go trash this now. We're done with it. Why don't you just use it? So they took the actual set pieces and put them up in LA and then altered it in, they fit the space each time. And the museum in San Diego and yada yada. So there's a 10 Forward t-shirt and a glass and probably there's a 10 Forward Picard cap. Now the crew has a cap like this with an S2 on it, so it's a season 2 crew cap. So this is the promo marketing cap. It's not an on set, but there you go. See? So okay, now you know why I don't wear caps. Me and this here. But that's it. There may have been something else in it originally, but that's it. Oh, my t-shirt. I think somewhere we were able to get freebie t-shirts. And I've got, somewhere back there, I've got Kesla's t-shirt. So there you go. There's a pile of scripts that it's hiding there behind. So there you go. Actual question. Ask and ye shall receive, Duralta. Well, Andrew, we'll just try to get over it, okay? VC VTC5 needs scheduled nap time. Yes, Bob D. And Bob, I know we saw you over the weekend, so maybe last week here too. But thank you for joining us. The YouTube crowd is growing and growing, growing. Still not happy about the use of 21st century. I know, Glenn. I hear you. It's not quite as Shakespearean as it used to be, but so far they've toned it down a bit in 3. Other than that, really enjoyed the first episode. Yeah, I think that's Terry's fine hand, kind of pulling it back. Just like Raffi, she's just going to be there. She has addiction issues, so she's just going to be a little rougher around the edges. Of course, it's nice when she can role play and use it for her undercover work. Hello, Puka Hair. I think we've had you before. You've been in the mix here before, but if not, welcome. You and all of your ears. First episode of Picard season 3 was very promising. I just hope they don't have a middle that contradicts the end, like Picard 2, or a middle that just sags. Like all the bang is at the beginning, all the bang is at the end, and the middle is like, let's go shoot this in a cellar. Yes. And I'm curious to know exactly what you mean by contradicts the ending if you're still around. I mean, spell that out. Or what's especially troubling to you? If Shaw comes out with a swagger stick, maybe he and Picard can bond over horses then. Yeah, that might be a boat sale already. You rewatched episode 1 of Picard season 1, and yeah, season 3 is definitely different than season 1. You smiled a lot more during the first episode. There you go. Did it pass the smile test? And then you've got weirdos like Linda that just say you love every season of Picard. I'm teasing Linda, obviously. Think of See, this is my point. It's a busy world. We've got all this Trek happening. There's no time. Worlds is the longest one-syllable word out there, I think. And SNW, I haven't graduated to saying snoo, as that one suggestion was. No time to binge. Must keep up. There you go. Strange new, killing what's inside of you. Is that the right melody? Yeah. I actually got it. John X, not sure what the problem was. You love season 1 of Picard, season 2 somewhat less so. I think Chabon was the difference, as well as the overarching AI storyline, also much more personal than TNG. Yes. That's just the 2020s filter overlaid on it, I think. Oh, good deal. All right, David, you take care out there. Thanks for dropping by, and we'll see you around Trekland more often. I think we got him hooked, everybody. What's Anne Marie bopping in here with? Now it's rubbing off on me, and I'm saying strange new. Ha ha. Oh no, am I affecting the culture? Oh no. Strange new. Yeah. I got that. Now we're comparing season 1 with few quibbles. 2 look like several story editors were working on parts not communicating. Well, maybe. Susan, I could save you more time and just call it strange. I do, actually. Listen, the Portales will tell you, and maybe even folks here. I call it strange all the time. Well, over on Strange, that's like, Deep Space Nine. A lot of the crew. I mean, when I first came to LA working on the Companion, and I said TNG, which was obviously way shorter than the Next Generation. But the crew everybody on crew said Next Gen. Next Gen was the thing. So I was like, well, TNG is one more syllable than Next Gen. I get it. And everybody around said Deep Space. Now, Voyager's is so inconsequentially short, it's not a big deal. And Enterprise was Enterprise. So, it went away for a while. And then the genius that had to call Discovery Disco, despite whatever you might have thought about the real disco era. But I do call it strange, Susan. Awful lot. Ah, Narda, you're bringing that outback philosophy to us all. The most beautiful thing about Star Trek is we each view it differently. It's a shame we can't all love the same things about Trek, but then there'd be nothing to discuss. Absolutely. And there you go, John. Yeah, you're yes. S&W equals snoo. Right. You you shortened refrigerator to refridge. Really? Not just fridge? You say refridge? That's interesting. No, I grew up calling the fridge. So refrigerator was like, well, what are you making a commercial? Yeah. Of course, I'm the one that says stid as much to poke it in the eye as I do to to save time. Well, there you go. Love the Star Trek Mirror Universe crossover comics from the 90s. I'm gonna have to dig down and see what exactly Marv Wolfman worked on. But I want to know. I know he's working on things around the motion picture era, even when they went big, when they jumped into comics, big time. Got away from Gold Key, finally. Let's see. Oh, Christoph, the best part of 2 and 3 of Picard for you was the new Traveler. Alrighty then. Well, I guess we're just going to have to see. Mirror Jack or Mirror JL? Is this Mirror Beverly we're talking about? I don't know. We'll see again. Hey, Linda, you're confused why it's never been mentioned again that Picard is now an android. Well, he's in a golem body, especially in that exchange between Riker and Picard about their old age ailments. Is it supposed to be a secret that he's an android? Is Picard fully functional? Not in the Data Yar sense. It might be, but I can tell you that it's not. I haven't seen the whole season yet. In the shows I've seen, it is mentioned, but it's not a big deal. In the shows I've seen, just passing. It's yes, which is more than it was in season 2, I think. Yes, the Voyager doc is they're going to do one more. They're going to do interviews on the cruise, and then that's it. They're into post. Yeah. See, and this is sad. I'm sad that Doctor Who suffered because of Star Trek, which is stupid. Mm-hmm. And more updates tonight on the main viewer. There you go. The idea that Beverly's other son is related to a mirror universe of Jack is interesting. I do think he looks more like Jack Crusher than Picard. Mm-hmm. Mainly because he's biological, think Blade Runner replicant. He also had no upgrades. Yeah, that's true. They very intentionally left him as an old man. They didn't bionic manize him. Sorry. Let's see. This is yeah. Data dies again, and it's an android buddy for Picard. Like, what a weird way to end the season. Yes. I don't hate it, but it was just like, really? That was your ending? Okay. Well, see, this is again. Excuse me, everybody. There you go. Just enough exposition in Picard. So everybody's coming at it, and that's fine. I said on last week or Second Opinion, we are not a Stepford fandom by any means. Not all poured out of the same mold. Everybody, why? Thank you, Andrew, for your consideration. I don't think we're going to be able to. Can I get Superman to spin the world backwards? Can we do something? Can we do an anti-time thing here and get the chronometers to stop for a moment? I would love that. But then I've been trying to do that for 30 years. So what can I do? I need more time. Must get more time. Let's see. Let's see. New stuff. Okay. You want to be the second assistant's caterer's dog walker. Because the dog can't be around the food, I don't know. I just said that. Michael, hello, man. I know we've been on before, but you just popped up here fresh, I think. So, hello to you. Yeah, did I just get myself in trouble? Oh, thank you, CW. Enjoyed the virtual Trek con yesterday with Terrace and I. It was a good seeing our faces again. One of these days I'll have to join you guys on a tour. Absolutely. See us again. Now, come on, come on, say who you are. Now I'm sitting here going, I'll go back through old records and figure it out. And don't hate me for saying that, okay? It's been 2016 was the last time for the 50th. We did the huge tour in 2016. And between getting back and changing, the times changing, and then the pandemic, and then the convention situation, and refiguring, and all of that, it's been a blur since even the last time we did the Trek. You'd rather be the third caterer's cat sitter. Okay, there's probably one of those as well. It's no more weird than Data having an evil twin brother, or Riker being split in two people permanently as some go sailing off his own career, or that Wesley becomes a traveler. Yeah. I mean, why weird? Define weird. Wesley has a brother? I'm shocked. Yeah. Or that Sisko's mother was a prophet. Oops, spoilers. Oh, Sci-Fi Ball only had Robin Curtis, and they teamed up with some other Comic-Con and had 10 guests in the inn. But Portaler Dan and other well-known UK Trekkies were there, of course. Riker's Beard, Carol. Not Sam, not all the Trekkie girls? The Red Lady, Crusher? Hellbird! Hellbird, everybody! Hellbird! Play Hellbird! The Picard Crusher romance lasted 2 weeks after Nemesis? I know. Oh, yes, I was at Bochum. We were at Bochum for the 100th anniversary of film. The first time I was ever in Germany was at Bochum with Jimmy Doohan and the two Michael Pan, the two German voice actors for Geordi and Geordi and Data. Michael Pan was one of them, and I've gone blank on the other guy's name. And it was Jimmy, where I got to know and meet Jimmy really for the first time, and then for a long time after that. And then we lost him just within, he started to go downhill soon after that, health-wise, neurologically, and quit doing conventions big time. But Bochum, and then one of the Galileo 7 conventions was in Bochum. Absolutely. I think I have to refresh. I was in German convention like 7 years in a row, and they were not FedCon. They spun the color wheel. Andrew, you were sad when we ended the weekly show, or sad when we ended on Friday? Because you were not alone. Ali's life was changing. It was rough to be doing that Friday night, Saturday morning routine every week. We loved it, and we loved reuniting and doing it again. We were just smiling the whole time. We were bantering over text like we used to do, and you could tell in the show. It was just great for Ali. I wish somehow we had turned the right key, got the right person, and found a sponsor and done that. If we had sponsors, it would have been amazing. I love bopping off Trek with Ali, and I love filling in on a layman's side with the mental health that he brings. Not that it's a heavy dose, but all the good stuff that he can wrap up in a Star Trek, goodness. Okay. Christoph, was that in episode? See, this is a blur to me. Was this in episode 1? Okay, so it's not a huge spoiler. Okay. Sir Richard's brief live stream. Sir Richard. Why was the class? Oh, because they didn't want to come up with a canon date. They're keeping it flexible. It was not part of, right? It might be. I don't think the C. I'll have to go back and see if the C was one of the clips on. Let's see. Oh, talking about weirdness on movie rights. So thank you, John. Outside the U.S., Paramount appears to be in the process of reunification, and in the 23rd century card, stylized like it was, might be a word mark or something. Oh, talking about the why was it cut off of Prime? I know that was strange. It may be one of those quirky little wacky things. It was one guy in one office somewhere didn't hit the button in time. It could be as simple as something crazy like that. Okay. Her son's name is Cheto. I'm missing that one there. Did you get that there's conflict between Riker and Troy? Well, something was not settled. It seems something unsettled there. All was not. Oh, it was not good in Zimbabwe, in Mzadi land. I've done that before. Things may not be great in Zimbabwe land either. You don't get it? Did you hear the line? We don't know what we're going to be in the future. I'm totally up for that. I can see that. Texture, not trivia, John. Come on. Mm-hmm. The future is what you make of it, so make it a good one, both of you. The less cool doc. Absolutely. Oh, Steve, you're still here. Yay. Okay. Hope you didn't mind that I told on you for Star Trek. After what Archer, Burnham, Pike, and Kirk did, the existence of any Enterprise was classified for centuries. Yeah. Okay. Well, not only did Will say his name was Jack, all the press material that's been published online, like Memory Alpha and all the websites, news sites, have said that it's Jack. So it's, it may have been a left-hand, right-hand thing where the producers are screaming at the promotion guys again, guys and gals. Let's see. Oh, drink. Yeah, I sneaked it in, didn't I? Okay. Sneaked it in. Okay. And yeah, they hardly use Bev in the films. What, First Contact was the best use of her, maybe? Thank you. There, the current Twitch channel here is this. Absolutely. Thank you for doing that, Christoph. It may not have been about them. It may have been about her and what she was doing. Maybe she had a pride shame thing, or maybe she felt like she had to protect them by not being with them, even as much as it hurt her. I mean, there's lots of reasons why people wall off. It's not necessarily an antagonism. Yeah. Simpsons or Futurama, one of those. Okay. How are we doing? Oh my gosh, it's 3:17. Let's see. Let's see. Pregnant Campbell. Yes, she would be scarce if she had a baby. Come on, guys. Let's think about that. Yes. And Frontier Day had something to do with the recruitment center. Right. Let's see. But this is true. Bev was not getting camera time she deserved ages ago. Well, exactly, JR. It's a mystery, and that's why it's good drama, and that's why that element was selected, right? I mean, Spock and Sarek didn't talk for 18 years. That seems harsh, but we didn't learn that until the 18 years were over. So nobody sat around for 10 years of real time talking about it. Mm-mm-mm. Okay. Let's see. Well, we got Bev, really everybody talking here as we look at maybe that we're getting close to the end of the chat as we know it, maybe. Yeah. Okay, there's a over on the Flash, free Flash folks. Yeah, well, they had stories that Pulaski was the Doctor at the beginning of her comeback. They had to mark it out, and it's like there were Rand yeomen in the first scripts after Grace Lee Whitney was fired, let go. That's just paper and effort, and they'll change them as the script goes along. Yes. Okay, see, I thought I had a specific date. I was doing this on the run here, just using. Here, it's the blue wrap tin forward glass, everybody. Oh, almost forgot to put that back in. Okay. I was thinking that, Steve. Thank you. I thought the other day when I had time to go dig around, I thought I saw a specific day. So thank you for that. That's Federation Day for the Federation signing. And Carl, you know the story. That's me. I don't talk about it a lot because that was supposed to be Janet's birthday, but I had it off by 2 days. I went the wrong direction from 10. Yeah, Frontier Day was a new thing they created for Picard. There's never been anything about it. I'm John, and I'm a ship nerd. Hi, John. Yes, I did, Mona, as opposed to canonistas. Ship porn. Do you know the way? Hey, Tony. Yeah, it's not quite as singable. No, but when you leave Amarillo, turn out the light. And I'm sure Steve is sick of that one. When you leave Amarillo, turn out the light. Yep. Okay, you like that? I surely I didn't invent that. Maybe I did. You thought this was the Ship Nerds Anonymous group. Oop. Is this the bus to Baltimore? Well, okay, a deep Ronnie Cox cut. Ronnie Cox, he of the guitar, who never got to do it in Star Trek. Soylent Green of Omaha is people. Black eyed peas with bacon is the dish of Frontier Day. Okay. Huh. In the 25th Century was on UK Paramount Plus, but not Amazon Prime. Amazon Prime needs those 5 seconds back. Always thought beans were more of a McCoy thing. Ah, Jason, there you go. Maybe somebody will get it. Mona, we had it up further up in the chat. I think Scott or someone may have posted it. It was on Trek Movie, or Trek Movie was at least encapsulating it from reposting it, collating. What do they call that? What do they serve for Frontier Days? Pizza Hawaii or Hawaiian pizza? On Paramount Plus in the GSA, Picard 301 has the 25th century. You lost your Prime subscription today. Totally get it. Thank you. I know what you're talking there. Oh, salute? Really, for a sneeze? Okay, very good. Steve, never ever show that video. What do you mean, man? It's tucked away in the vault. It was going to come, if I ever needed something where I needed $10,000 donors, they'd get a peek at it or something. And as Doug Drexler said, Star Trek is philosophy. Mm-hmm. Did I have a friend who played Uhura? Oh, yes. Dear, lovely, smart as a whip, great Pam Bede. It probably has a married name, but I've totally lost track of her. I should track her. See what she's done with her world. I know she went into government service and into that. Late means missing the first hour, which you did. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Okay, gang. I'm moving along here. Mona, you have the shirt with all that. Oh, you have the hashtag stack. Yay. Okay. Do you ever wear it to fan things? Do you ever get asked about it? That was kind of the point. I wanted to claim them and claim the ideas, but I also was curious to see if it spread conversation. I'd be very, very curious if anybody ever stops you and asks you, what the hell is that? Even if they're a Trek fan at a convention. Let's see. Not last week, except my panels, but any given Tuesday, depending on what's going on. Very good. Very good. This is what I meant. I got going at about 10 after today. So, yay. This is a point, Glenn. People say the problem with 26 episodes is a lot of them were filler. They weren't intentional filler. They were like the exhaustion shows, I think. But more filler episodes in each season of Discovery and Picard than you ever saw in a season of... Well, there would be like 3 or 4. Now, forget TOS. TOS was 60 struggles all the time. But DS9, TNG, Enterprise, Voyager, you would have 3 or 4. I'd call them the clinkers. And the writers would call them clinkers. Get Renee or Brandon to talk about Aquael sometime. Okay. Yes, though. Oh, you're answering my question here, Puka. Q's motivation of doing this to Picard doesn't totally jibe with his actions in the middle. Okay. SNW. True, Mona. SNW reminds you too much of SNL. I've called SNW SNL. And W is 3 syllables. Why does a letter get away with having 3 syllables? That's insane. Not fair. Not fair. Harvey. What is the vibe in here? Well, the vibe is probably about 4.7. Mr. Krusty got no damn chill. You wandered into a Trek room, if somebody hasn't already told you that. The bunk bed scene between Picard and Riker was funny. Yes, it was. Okay. There you go. Is that what? Okay. Cream. I guess cream was Strange Brew. There you go. Word. Picard 1 and 2 filler seasons. Ooh, rough. Not the Nepenthe. Nepenthe was cute and golden. Yeah, we'll see. But Deep Space Nine, yeah. Doug and Dan were saying Deep Space. There you go. 2 old crew bodies doing. Yep. Originally from Chicago. Oh, Rico. Hey, man. Rico Anderson, everybody. Called it an icebox. Well, my folks did too. It was fridge and icebox. Even though it was a refrigerator, yeah, well, I had Depression parents, especially my dad. Yep. Now, but if The one time people would say refrigerator was if somebody would say, you left the refrigerator door open. For some reason, that was always all the syllables. Put it in the fridge. I put it in the fridge. And then my dad and probably other people, aunts and uncles on that side, I remember hearing icebox a lot. Yeah. Dad called it, well, it's generational. It's what they grew up calling it because nobody had refrigerators. They were existing, but they were hoity-toity. Not until after the war, not until the great consumer boom of the 50s and 60s. Maybe at times, not every day. More when somebody wanted to be sarcastic about scripts or maybe backstage drama, maybe. There we go. A lot of love for Rico here into Chicago questions. So happy to facilitate that. Okay, Christoph, you can just lay off the American sports culture a little bit, you outsider, you foreigner. Oh, I'm so sorry. Bionic man eyes. Oof. Not my best, probably. Okay. Love the German lessons. Into the chat, gang. How are we doing? Okay. Charles Rettinghouse is the voice of Geordi. Yes. Thank you, Doralta. I knew one of you would know. Yeah, Michael Pan and Charles Rettinghouse were guests there, along with Janet and me and Jimmy D. James Doohan, not James Darren, by the way. There we go. I totally agree. Dr. Ali is a jewel. Now, what'd you say here, CW? Your communiques via subspace. Okay. It's fine. Just vague post me. Okay. Oh, did we go to see Starlight Express? Was it there in the 90s? Early aughts? What do you mean the only thing Indiana is known for is the Indy 500? Indiana's the birthplace of Catherine Janeway and Jerry Taylor. I think Hellbird's a little retconning. Taking a playbook out of Voyager. All the things that happened at Wolf 359 and ships and the people. Okay. Hey, Galinda, you made it here like at the end. Might have to put a limit on the chat comments for something. Yes, everybody's a little tired and loopy-loo. Wow. We've got devolving threads, gang. Thank you, Deralta. Okay. We're somewhere between Indiana and Pittsburgh and Germany. And let's see. Okay. And Toronto and Prost. And well, Deralta, you just heard Steve say I have to keep it hidden, so we'll see how that goes. Clinkers or clunkers? Well, clinkers sounds a little more lightweight than clunkers, so there we go. Yes. Hey, Steve. Yes, and Pam Bead had the best blooper. We had a blooper reel because we crammed this thing into one day shooting, and yes, we were college kids, but it's really fun. I still think the script is funny. All the bad jokes and puns and stupid things I wanted to say about Helm does not respond. Your controls don't work. No, it's just not talking to me. I always thought that was a stupid line. Okay. Thank you for that family moment. There we go. Uh, the Grand Lord High Poobah. Yeah, I had this wonderful line. The leader of the planet they were talking to on the comm. It went on for like the title went on forever. I am the Lord High Grand Poobah of the upper class sect of the real cool guys of the, and it goes on like that for 10. And poor Pam, she had her script right there. It turned around and she got through 4 or 5. She says, I can't do it. I said, just do what you can do. It's so funny. It probably loses something in the translation, but it was very funny. Yes, Steve. I am the Lord High Grand Poobah of Fred's planet. Only Trekkies know about Janeway. Well, let's do something about it, Mona. Come on, get up on your high horse. I think it's the end of the chat as we know it. Thank you, Christoph. Did you just cut that? That's gonna do it, gang. I think there we go. Meanwhile, what a Tuesday! I'm sharing this. There's a mutual exhaustion factor going on. Is that what's happening? Well, thank you for being with me today. Once again, a shout out to all of our Patreon folk. Boom here at the end. And again, if you want to jump in and help me with our streaming end of Trekland, here's how to do it. Just patreon.com Trekland Live. It's $5 and $10. You can go higher than 5 or 10. I say, if you're going to do that, though, jump in and just join Portal 47. And then you're deep diving with all the Portales every month. Otherwise, one quick reminder, the Trek Files is happening in hiatus right now, but you can catch all of our 9 seasons of episodes are up there at podcast.roddenberry.com. How about I clear up the final there? Or wherever your podcasts are sold or caught. This is, of course, where our documents of the week are. And as always, it's Larry Nemechek at Twitter, Larry Nemechek's Trekland right now on YouTube and Facebook and Instagram, portal47.net. Your mini-con all year long. Even with the proliferation of video paneling and all that, still only certain folks are popping up on panels on video. And again, we've, if I look at the folks we've had the last few months, aside from folks you do know, like Dave Blass, going to get Terry. Terry was almost going to be our open house guest last year, except that he had a project get in the way. But at least now, when he is with us, people will know what he'd been working on, and we won't have to be so secretive about it or just lean in the old days, which there was plenty to talk about there. So having said all that, take well, everybody. Trek well. Do all the things. Stay woke. And trek well again.